The trouble at the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs has been front-page news for weeks. At the heart of the scandal, reports of inexcusably long wait times for veterans seeking treatment. First in Phoenix, but it's since become clear the problem is a systemic one. Last month, the VA conducted an internal audit to gauge its scope and found more than 57,000 veterans were forced to wait 90 days or more for their first VA medical appointment, and 64,000 veterans never got an appointment after requesting one. The audit says wait times at Massachusetts VA hospitals and clinics are among the shortest. In fact, the VA hospital in Bedford was singled out for having the shortest wait time in the nation, at an average of just 12 days. That makes our next story even more unbelievable. Last month, the Bedford VA hospital sent this letter to Douglas Chase, a veteran from Acton, offering him the medical care he'd requested to treat his brain cancer. The problem was the letter arrived 2 years after his death and was opened by his wife, Suzanne, who joins us here tonight. Welcome to Greater Boston, Suzanne.
Thank you, Emily.
So your husband had been being treated at Beth Israel in Boston, and you wanted to find a place that was closer, right?
Yeah, yes, we did.
So what happened when you approached the VA hospital in Bedford?
Our local veterans officer actually came out to my house, helped me fill out the application, and personally drove me to the VA hospital in Bedford. We were hoping that if we had a one-on-one,
Sure,
that we would get some attention quickly, because he was getting much worse, and the trips to Boston were very painful and uncomfortable. I had checked with our local officer several times to see if he had heard anything and if we had made any progress getting our application approved. But nothing happened, and
Did you call the hospital yourself? Did you ask to speak to an administrator?
No, I did not. I was so consumed with my husband's care as he became sicker and sicker that chasing after the VA was not a priority at that time.
This letter that you received, did this have anything to do with your first request, your initial request 2 years ago, or was this out of the blue? They were reaching out to your husband because he is a Vietnam veteran, and they were seeking they were just curious whether he needed an appointment.
It was out of the blue because we had heard nothing. I had heard nothing in that, well, it was probably 26 months period. Hadn't heard anything from anyone. And I had put it aside. I assumed that because I had applied for funeral benefits, that Doug, somewhere in the system, was known as a deceased person, but apparently not.
All right, you also said that you applied for funeral benefits through the VA and you were denied. On what basis?
I was denied because he was not treated at a VA hospital.
What has that got to do with it?
I have no idea why. I don't know why. Since I've reached out to the media, I've had an attorney approach me and say that this isn't true, but other people say yes, it is true. So I need to further investigate how my application failed.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to bring somebody in to maybe answer some of those questions for us.
That's great.
I'm going to bring in Coleman Nee. He's the Commissioner of the Massachusetts Department of Veterans Services. Welcome to Greater Boston.
Thank you for having me.
Is that true, that if you weren't treated at a veterans hospital, you can't apply for veterans services for burial?
It doesn't sound true to me. I think I talked to Ms. Chase a little bit, and I think we're going to look at her paperwork and try to figure out what's exactly going on here.
I don't see what connection could possibly be drawn.
There really shouldn't be a connection.
Yeah.
We do have our own burial benefit that we offer at the city and town level. As Ms. Chase said, the vet service officers provide that, and we have 2 military cemeteries here as well in the Commonwealth.
Okay.
So,
going back to the original issue, though, I mean, you say that in Bedford Hospital, for instance, over 50% of the patients there are Vietnam veterans. So it's not like you're not used to accepting applications from Vietnam veterans. What would have happened in this case?
Well, to be clear, first off, I'm not speaking for VA. I'm speaking for the state. I think I don't really know what happened in this particular case. What I can tell you is this: number one, I do know the leadership at VA here in Boston and the Vision Medical Center, and I'm sure they're going to get to the bottom of this. This is really not something that should have happened at all. Number two, this really seems to me an outlying case. There's a lot of people that use VA medical care, myself included. I've always had professional experiences and good quality care with them. Number three, the wait times generally do produce better wait times than in the rest of the country. So this is an outlying case, and we should definitely make sure that we work with them to figure out how this never happens again.
All right, the mystery letter that Suzanne received, is that a generic outreach letter, or was this intended for Douglas Chase?
From the letter that I saw, it looked like it was actually intended for Mr. Chase. So
was it a follow-up to the request from 26 months ago?
I don't know the answer to that. That was something VA is going to have to look internally and figure out what their process is and what kind of broke down here, which I'm sure they'll do. The good part, at least, or the encouraging part I heard in Ms. Jay's story is that the local vet service officer, which is really the Massachusetts benefit, really stepped up to work with her, try to help her out. We want to make sure that we have more of that, and that people in this situation, so going forward, realize those local vet service officers that the Commonwealth employs, and we're the only state that does that, is really there to help them guide them and get them access and do the breakthrough when they run into these bureaucratic nightmares.
So, Suzanne, I have curiosity. Did you ask your physician, your husband's physician at Beth Israel, to step in, to intervene? I mean, he must have known the hardship it was for Douglas to come into Boston. Did you ask him to help with a transfer?
No, I did not. Actually, my husband had a team of doctors, and it didn't occur to me that would be an option.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that you were unhappy, by the way, was it, with the Beth Israel people? You just wanted closer.
Not at all. Not at all.
So, I know you've gotten a lot of media attention out of this. I mean, but was it just the horror of it? I mean, what is it about this? Are you just trying to sort of point out that sort of these systemic flaws that we've seen, not necessarily with the state, I want to make that clear, but with the Veterans Administration in general?
Well, I'm hoping that the media attention, and thank you for covering the story, will make people more aware that there is a problem, that it needs to be addressed. Our veterans deserve better. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm sorry, I forgot to answer your question.
How often do you have to step in on cases like this? I mean, are there, this can't be an isolated case.
No, it's not isolated. And it's unfortunate because, as you said, 50% of our veterans are Vietnam veterans here in the Commonwealth. And, for a lot of them, they came back and weren't able to access benefits at first because society wasn't as welcoming. So we're really trying to get those folks back into the fold. So we want to make sure people know these benefits and resources exist. But it is bureaucratic. I mean, there's a three-legged stool here when we look at vets benefits here in the Commonwealth. There's the state, there's the federal government, and then there's community-based providers and nonprofits. And it can be, it's not that there are not resources available for our vets, but sometimes that system can be overly complex. And as Ms. Chase can tell you, trying to navigate it and trying to apply for things can sometimes be a little bit more challenging than someone who has no issues going on, much less caring for an honored hero that is sick and ailing and needs help. So.
All right, we are going to follow up, find out what happened, and we'll get back to you and follow up with a report. Suzanne Chase, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Coleman, Thank you.